Story 1. The Creepy Mall Santa. As a single mother, I've grown accustomed to handling all the challenges life throws at me. But one Christmas, I faced a terrifying ordeal that still haunts me to this day. I live with my 8-year-old son, Mark, in a quiet neighborhood filled with older residents. It's the house my grandparents passed down to me, and it has always felt safe until that one unsettling holiday season. It was December, and the air was thick with the holiday rush. Mark and I spent the day shopping for Christmas gifts. We explored the bustling mall, visited clothing stores, and even stopped by a hardware store to pick up a gift for my dad. After hours of shopping, we treated ourselves to burgers and ice cream at McDonald's. With full stomachs and bags full of gifts, we headed out of the mall through the south exit. Standing by the exit was a mall Santa, waving cheerfully at passers-by. He seemed ordinary enough, with his fluffy red suit and jovial demeanor, when he knelt to Mark's level and asked what he wanted for Christmas. I let my guard down. Mark eagerly told him he wished for a Nintendo Switch, a gift I had secretly planned to get him. The Santa laughed heartily, promising Mark he might get it if he was good. He even winked at me, which I dismissed as friendly banter. However, things took a strange turn. The Santa began complimenting me, calling me a looker in a tone that felt too personal, while Mark laughed, blissfully unaware of the implications. I felt a creeping discomfort. The conversation veered into jokes about holiday stress and being a single mom. When he referenced the song, I saw Mommy kissing Santa Claus. He leaned in as if expecting a kiss on the cheek. When I hesitantly moved closer, Dad abruptly turned his head, attempting to kiss me on the lips. I recoiled in shock, my discomfort turning into unease. Quickly, I grabbed Mark's hand and walked away, the Santa's loud Merry Christmas ring in my ears as we left. Driving past the mall's back exit, I noticed he was no longer standing outside. At the time, I didn't think much of it. I should have. That night, after settling in at home and locking the doors, Mark and I cozy up on the couch to watch a Christmas movie. The warmth of the moment was shattered when the doorbell. Well, it was late, and I wasn't expecting anyone. Hesitantly, I approached the door and called out, "Who is it?" A man's voice replied, "It's Santa." My heart dropped. The same voice. I demanded he leave, threatening to call the police. Dad insisted he was only returning something I had dropped, but his vague answers only heightened my fear. I didn't open the door. Instead, I called the mall management, desperate to report the incident. To my horror, they told me the mall didn't officially hire any Santas. Feeling the walls of safety collapse around me, I checked the windows, peering into the darkness. Suddenly, I heard the chilling sound of a man yelling, "Ho ho ho!" My instincts kicked in, and I called the police. When they arrived, they assured me they'd patrol the area, though their presence brought temporary comfort. My unease lingered. A few nights later, the doorbell rang again, this time even later than before. Mark was asleep, and I was alone in the living room. Fear kept me frozen. I turned off the TV and retreated upstairs, locking the bedroom door. The next morning, I found a note taped to the front door. It was typed and unsigned, but the words sent shivers down my spine. "I'm sure you know who this is. I didn't mean to scare you the other night." When a pretty lady talks to you after pretending to be Santa for hours, it's hard not to get carried away. You and your son are the cutest. I'd love to be part of your family. I already know where you live. Here's my number. Let's plan something soon. Happy holidays. The audacity and creepiness of the message left me shaken. I photographed the note and immediately called the police, providing them with a number. Days later, I received a call from a detective. They assured me the man wouldn't bother me again. I never saw or heard from him after that, but the experience left an indelible mark. Christmas, once a season of joy and warmth, now carried a shadow of fear. Story 2. An intruder on Christmas Eve. This memory is seared into my mind, one of the earliest I have, yet it remains one of the most vivid and terrifying. I was just 6 years old, living in a middle-class suburban home with my parents and older sister. Our family was ecstatic about Christmas, and every year we went all out with decorations and festive cheer. On this particular Christmas Eve, I was too excited to sleep. My old box TV was my best companion during late-night gaming sessions, and that night was no different. I was immersed in a Star Wars game on my PlayStation, the anticipation of Christmas morning keeping me wide awake. When nature called, I turned the TV volume down and tiptoed out of my room, careful not to wake my parents. The upstairs bathroom was my destination, and after finishing, I quietly made my way back to my room. That's when I heard a faint rustling sound coming from the living room downstairs. My 6-year-old brain immediately thought of Santa Claus. Curious and excited, I crept down the stairs, holding my breath with every step. As I reached the bottom, the rustling grew louder. Peering around the corner into the dimly lit living room, I saw a figure bent over near the Christmas tree. A flashlight beam illuminated a black bag on the floor. My excitement turned to confusion and then to fear as the man stood upright and noticed me. He wasn't Santa, he was a stranger. The man held a finger to his lips, signaling for me to be quiet. He whispered, "I'm Santa." But I wasn't fooled. I screamed at the top of my lungs, calling for my mom and dad. The man panicked, grabbing his bag and rushing toward the front door. I remember the sound of the door slamming and my dad's hurried footsteps down the stairs. The aftermath was chaotic. My parents found a bag filled with ornaments and other items the men had intended to steal. The back door's lock was damaged, evidence of a break-in. My dad, fueled by adrenaline, ran outside into the cold night, but the intruder was long gone. The police were called, and I learned later that another home nearby had been targeted by the same thief. The news reported it, but no arrests were made. To this day, the memory of that man's shushing gesture haunts me. Christmas is still my favorite holiday, but the innocence of those magical nights was forever tinged with fear. Story 3. A Flickering Lights. In December 2020, my fiancé and I were settling into our new home, a quaint house in a friendly neighborhood. Everything about the area seemed perfect for starting a family, and the holiday season brought a sense of magic to our lives. Little did we know, something sinister was lurking just next door. Our neighbor Paul was an unassuming man in his 40s. He lived alone, rarely spoke, and kept to himself. He seemed harmless, though I found it odd that he always put up elaborate Christmas decorations despite having no family to share them with. One night, as I was stringing lights outside, I noticed Paul's lights flickering erratically. At first, I chalked it up to a wiring issue. The following day, Paul's car remained parked in the driveway, and his blinds were shut tight. Days passed, and his reclusive behavior became more noticeable. That evening, my fiancé commented on the flickering lights again. Curious, I decided to check on Paul. I knocked on his door, and when he finally answered, his demeanor was off. He seemed distracted and unwell. As I tried to make small talk, I heard a faint sound from inside the house. It was unmistakable, a child's voice calling for help. My blood ran cold. Paul didn't have kids. I didn't confront him directly, but hurried back home and called the police. When they arrived, they discovered a horrifying truth. A young boy had been locked in Paul's basement for days. The child had been kidnapped from another town, and the flickering lights were his desperate attempt to signal for help. Paul was arrested, and the boy was reunited with his family. The incident left me shaken. It was a chilling reminder that even the friendliest neighborhoods can hide dark secrets. Story 4. The Crawlspace Stranger. One December evening, my girlfriend Jenny and I were enjoying a cozy night in, watching Christmas movies by the tree. Everything felt perfect until Jenny mentioned hearing noises from the crawlspace below the living room. At first, I dismissed it as her imagination, but a thing that became impossible to ignore. Grabbing a flashlight, I cautiously opened the crawlspace door. The air was stale and reeked of urine. Scanning the cramped space, I saw nothing but clutter. As I climbed back upstairs, I heard movement behind me, a sound that sent chills down my spine. I slammed the door shut and tried to shake off the unease. Later that night, I woke up to use the bathroom. Opening the bedroom door, I frowned at the sight of a dark silhouette at the end of the hallway. The figure moved closer, and I hurriedly locked the door. Jenny woke up, and we both listened in terror as the doorknob turned. A deep voice whispered, "Hello." We called 911, and when the police arrived, the intruder was gone. The crawl space, however, bore signs of a squatter. Someone had been living there, undetected, for days. The experience left us paranoid, double-checking every lock and never feeling truly safe in our own home again.